It's been 9 years since the last Now You See Me. Is the magic still there? Let's find out.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Once more unto the bridge, dear friends.
Again and again until we're both dead.
There's only like 12 stories. They change around little details, but they're all pretty much the same.
Déjà vu. Something very familiar about it.
Hello, welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews connections of mine. Now You See Me, Now You Don't is the third film in the Now You See Me franchise. Of course, all the jokes have been made that should have been the title of the second movie, but I digress. This film is directed by Ruben Fleischer, and it picks up right around the real time between movies. It's been about 10 years since the Four Horsemen have appeared in public, and when three up-and-coming magicians have pretty much usurped the horsemen's identities, the Eye calls upon the Four Horsemen once again, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, and Dave Franco to come together to pull off yet another heist against a worthy target of a scummy Diamond Empire heiress. Now, this review will contain spoilers of Now You See Me, Now You Don't. I'll be doing some spoiler talk later on, but first and foremost, let's get into some spoiler-free thoughts on Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Is this a good sequel to the second one? Is this a good installment in the franchise? This is a good theater experience. This is a good movie overall. I would say this is pretty much the definition of disposable entertainment. I mean, the Now You See Me movies have been fairly straightforward in that there are bargain bin Ocean's 11 style movies where, they add the twist that they are, performing magicians and illusionists, and that's about it. They do heists, and not everything is what it appears to be. It follows that formula pretty well, and this movie's no different. We see, them pulling off heists. We have them, twists and turns of, someone gets captured. We gotta, bust them out of prison, or there's a setback in the plan and we gotta alter things on the fly. These kinds of things are, endemic to the Now You See Me franchise from the beginning, and that's not a bad thing. These tropes are a lot of fun, and these movies, some are better than others, I think. But overall, these movies are a fun time, and this third one is no different. It's a fun time. For the most part, we get to see our, the magicians coming back into it. They have pretty good chemistry with the newcomers. However, a common problem with a lot of these sequels, and this can also be called a legacy sequel at this point, because 9 years doesn't sound too long in terms of legacy sequels, but this now become a passing of the torch kind of film. And while the older cast now have good chemistry with the newer editions, the danger with this is, and a lot of other films that do this have the same issue, is that not everyone gets a lot of screen time or all the screen time that they deserve, and you focus on one or two of them, and it's like, there's this new person. I think the person who got the short shrift was the new pickpocket, who she is. The most exposition you get is right around the beginning when Jesse Eisenberg's Atlas comes in, and he basically rattles off their backstories as like, yes, I know who you are. This is who you are. And he has no reason to tell them this except it's telling the audience, yes, these are who these people are. You got it. Good. Let's go. And that's all you need. And for that point, I think, you have 7 come to 8 characters, not spoil anything that probably hasn't already been spoiled by the marketing, but, you have 8 characters going through here. Not everyone's going to have the right amount of screen time. And at a certain point, some characters become just, an extra body. And that's what happens in a lot of these heist movies. I mean, you got, Ocean's 11, I would argue that, it was a ensemble movie for sure, but not everyone got the same amount of screen time, or they got kind of neglected towards the end. And, but even, and this movie does not come close to Ocean's 11 as far as quality goes or character development, but I'm not sure if they necessarily have to. So I'm not digging this movie based on that. Like I said, this is a good time. There's a lot of fun things. There's one scene in particular that I think is going to, once it gets clipped out and put on YouTube, is going to get a lot of hits because it is well done. It is a lot of fun because you get to see the actors bounce off each other, and it's just them having fun with magic, and oh, this is how this trick is done, and oh, here's this trick, but oh, that's a nice one, but have you seen this? It's like, that's a fun scene, and I really love it. And plus, the technical aspects of it being a one-shot is impressive as well. Aside from that, though, there's really not a whole lot else to this movie that I think you can point to as being, exceptional. That's why I emphasize this is kind of a disposable popcorn movie. And, if you liked the first Now You See Me and were somewhat let down by Now You See Me 2, I will say this is marginally, I think this movie does work with what was in the previous two movies and do it a little bit better. So I rank this slightly above the second movie. However, it does, it doesn't add anything new to the table except for 3 new characters, and that's it. That's all you got. So, once you leave, the best scene in the movie is right around the halfway point, and then after that, it's like, well, there's no suspense whatsoever because you know exactly what's going to happen. And the fun in the first movie, and not to spoil anything, but they're not actually magicians as far as like sorcery. Like, they're doing illusions, and they do, all right, here's how you did it, boom, 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 and it's like that was fun to reveal. Like, all right, they do. I was like, how'd they do it? And then they showed it. It's like, once you got that formula, it's like, well, we know this is all fake. We know what's going on, and you're just waiting for the reveal at that point, and then it's kind of underwhelming. There's no wonder associated with that anymore, and at least for me, and that was kind of a shame. But otherwise, I would say really best part of that movie, if you liked the camaraderie between the 4 main horsemen, then you add the 3 new ones, then that's great. You get all that going. The main villain in this movie is played by Rosamund Pike. She does great as this, the heiress to this diamond empire, and she does a good job with her lines. It's also the first one of these movies since to not feature the villain from the previous 2, who after Michael Caine retired, he's no longer around. So we have this new villain, and she does a really good job on that. But she plays kind of the same kind of villain as Michael Caine's character did. And like I said, if you like those things, you're going to get more of them in this. But I kind of wanted something more from that. You're bringing it back all this time. Oh, we're bringing these people back. We're even bringing back Isla Fisher after, she wasn't in the second movie because she was pregnant or whatever. And now she's back. They even write her in. It's like, oh yeah, I had my kids in this. The character actually had kids. And you got all this going. You got, all that come together, and you don't really add that much, really anything new to that. I only, and while they're fine, the writing isn't exactly the best either. The humor, I think, is a little bit inconsistent. For me personally, I only got one decent chuckle, and I'll talk about that in the spoiler section. But for the most part, this was the very definition, like I said, disposable, and it's fine. It's not great. So if I was going to give Now You See Me, Now You Don't a letter grade, I would say this goes in at a C-. And if I was going to weigh this movie in on the scale of unoriginality, I would say this weighs in at reworked scripts, same puzzle pieces assembled in a different order. So those are my main spoiler-free thoughts on Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Now let's get into some spoiler talk as certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. So really, I only want to take this section really quick to talk about the main similarities. And when I mentioned earlier that this movie seems to use the same elements as the previous two movies slightly better, it really is because it's following pretty much the exact same formula as the previous two movies in two different ways. First off, the original movie featured Mark Ruffalo's character, who is on a revenge quest, basically using the Horsemen to get revenge, lock Morgan Freeman's character behind bars because he blames him for the death of his father, which we later find out is not true in the second movie, but that's a whole other thing. And we have the same sort of thing in this movie where Justin Smith's character, he is, he's the the whammy reveal that all these things have is, it was blank the whole time. And it's like, he recruited all of them the whole time. Again, same like the first movie, that this person who we didn't know recruited the Four Horsemen and, for a revenge quest. So once again, we have that going on, and he wanted revenge on his half-sister for basically killing his mother for all that. So again, that revenge plot. So that's the first movie elements in this. The second movie elements in this is in the final reveal. They pretty much copy and paste the same reveal from the end of Now You See Me 2 into the end of this movie, where the villain is basically confessing their evil plan and their motivations, revealing themselves to the world, but they don't know it because, once the curtain is pulled, it's like, you were on camera and in front of this crowd the whole time. Just like, in the second one, it was the plane that they thought they were in air, but they were on a barge in the middle of the Thames, and they, reveal, yes, we've been broadcasting this the whole time. And here it's the improbable, perfectly situated, curtains that look exactly like the vaults. And then you pull them up. It's like, hey, you're in front of this crowd the whole time. Everyone apparently kept silent while this was going on. No one sneezed to give away the illusion. Never mind that. But, we have that element going in there. So that's why I say this movie basically reworked the scripts of both previous movies and didn't really add too much to it. And aside from, like I said, the one fun scene with the magic house, those were really fun. That was a really fun scene. But again, that was pretty much in the middle of the movie. And then after that, there was not a whole lot else. The reveal of Lizzie Kaplan's Lula. She's back, and I was not a big fan of hers in the second movie, so I was not really thrilled to see her come back again, because her shtick hasn't changed in the second movie, and I thought it was annoying then, and it's annoying now. So that was kind of my hang-up with that, and it just kept going and going with that. I don't know why. It's like, I get why you want to reunite. Again, Legacy sequel, got to bring out all these other cast members, but why? Why? It's okay to say no. I mean, you have Mark Ruffalo, who's apparently too good for, to appear other than a hologram, which, fine, whatever, and setting up a sequel that I'm not particularly interested in at this point. I mean, if you do make it, it'll be like, fine, whatever, but I'm not actively clamoring for that. I'm not sure how many other people are. And like I said, the only other thing that got a chuckle out of me, and it's really stupid, I realize, but, when the one guy who his name, again, I forget all their names at that point. The one guy who he's thought, Atlas is your real name. It's like, what, did your mom have sex with a map? And it's like, all right, that's a stupid quip, but I get it. But then it came back when they're on the boat, on the boat, and they put the four cars together. Like, hey, it's a map. It's like, oh, it's a map. And I just hear in the background, hey, it's your dad. And it's like, it didn't register me at first, but then it took me, and then when it hit me, it's like, oh, okay, that was a good callback. That's literally the only time I actually got a good chuckle from the writing in this. So maybe that's an indictment on me that I have a terrible sense of humor. I don't know. But like I said, all of this is kind of forgettable. Like I said, it's disposable entertainment. It's fine. It's fun for the theater, but it's, once you leave it, it's not going to leave an impact on me. But what did you think of Now You See Me, Now You Don't? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which should be for Zootopia 2, which comes out the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So look for that review on that weekend. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.